Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome to the Financial Independence Coach, naturally creating freedom, meaning, and wealth. Brought to you by Yefo Pty Ltd, in association with Brandlive.co.za. And here is your host and coach, Yvonne E. Ventilo.
Good morning, Brand Live streamers and Yefo Pty Ltd subscribers. Yes, it's Monday and you are back with the Financial Independence Coach. In his book, Brian Tracy referred to 21 specific steps that a person needs to take to create his own freedom. Napoleon Hill wrote in his book Think and Grow Richer 17 of these steps. If you go and look at Tony Robbins or Dr. John Demartini, all of them touch on these specific steps to create a freedom in your life. The freedom that you want. They give you the outline on how to set your planning, to create your order, and the things that you need to do to create it. Now, most of them all start with the most important part. Simon Sinek actually wrote an entire book and does most of his training about this. It is that why. Why do you want to do it? What is your why? What is that core? Because that core, that why, that deep-seated desire, that need within yourself, that the want comes from, that is the only thing in life that's ever going to motivate you. I can sit here and talk for hours on end and inspire you. You can go to a Tony Robbins show or a Dr. John Demartini's workshop, or to Brian Welsh or to Barry Mitchell or any of these gurus or masters. And you can get inspired to completely overfill your cup. But if you don't find your own why to build your order, your system, your freedom around, the why you are creating your meaning, the why you're creating your wealth, the natural you, why you want it, then none of it's going to work. You're still going to be, like I referred to in the previous session, you are going to imitate these gurus. You are going to try and be a clone of them. Unless you find your own why, you cannot move forward. And once you have found that why, what do? What are the steps that you take to start moving forward? Well, I've got 20 steps here that I've written down, which is a cross-reference between these masters of what they basically say the outline is of what you need to do. And where why is the number one, the second one is when. When do you start? A lot of people wait for New Year to start with New Year's resolution, and let's face facts. New Year's resolution, if you go and read the statistics on New Year's resolutions, not even 75% of New Year's resolutions make it into the second month to be upheld. So when do you start? Make a decision today. Make the decision today to start today. And then tomorrow morning, you get up insanely early and you start implementing what you have chosen today to do. Now, what is insanely early? Well, for me, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. But if you are somebody that generally only gets up at 7, then insanely early might be for you 6. Because you generally don't see the alarm clock at 6 o'clock in the morning. Insanely early is earlier than what you used to do. And don't try and defeat the laws of your own nature by where you have only got out of bed 7 o'clock in the mornings previously, now try and get up at 3. I can promise you, you're going to set yourself up for failure when you do that. Try half an hour this week earlier, and then maybe another half an hour the week before that. And how do you get it right to get up insanely early? You start the previous day. You go to bed earlier. Instead of watching that last run of mini-series or another movie and it takes you way past midnight, get to bed a bit earlier so that you can get up earlier. There's a saying that I grew up with, the early bird catches the worm. It's a true saying. Because if you go and look, most masters, most gurus are those who get up long before the rest of the world. The overachievers in the office or in any business are those that are there first in the morning. How do they get there first? It's because they got up first. That's how. And how did they get up first? Well, unfortunately, they went to bed first at night. They didn't stay up and watch movies or lay around doing this, doing that till way past midnight at night. And sometimes you have to burn the candle on both sides when you are truly busy, but we can't function that way. In a recent study, they've actually proven that if you do not average between 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, that you subdue yourself to heart disease, to stroke. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you go on a flat line halfway to your goal. So get to bed early to get up early. Keeping promises, no matter how small. Now, for a lot of us, keeping our promises in small regard don't seem to be that important. But it's to keep your word, and your word to be your honor, is where it comes from. If your word is not your honor, how can you then be trusted on? How can you be depended on? How can others look up to you as being the leader instead of just being what we used to call in Afrikaans, a ja-broer? Ja, I'll do this. Ja, I'll do this. Ja, I'll do this. But never delivering on it. If you keep your promises, no matter how small, those promises will start snowballing into bigger promises. And to bigger, yes, I'll take the opportunities and move forward. Giving more thought to your planning before you starting. Now, with all my coaching clients that I work with one-on-one, I find that to start with the planning, to start to pre-think of what you are going to do, is a huge hurdle to get over. Yes, there's the diary. I've got a meeting with this one. I've got a meeting with that one. Okay, and generally this is the time that I start cooking supper. But what about all those little spaces in between? What about that space between traveling from home to work? There was a time that I sat in traffic for 2 hours in the morning to get from home, drop my boys off at school, get to an office. Now, if you put all those 2 hours together in the mornings and in the evenings, you can end up with a whole semester of classes that you could have been studying. Now, for heaven's sake, I'm not saying drive with your textbook in your one hand, but audio tapes, or audio discs rather. Tapes are a bit old-fashioned, but audio discs, or voice recordings and notes of your studies that you've done. The summaries of what you're busy studying. An audio book on the way to work. You'll be surprised out of your socks how much you are able to learn in that time period that you are traveling. And because your mind, your executive center, is busy concentrating on what is happening around you, that information goes straight through to your memory and you record it easier. A lot of individuals that get diagnosed with ADHD or hyperactive this or attention deficit disorders, go and look at how they study and how they attain information. They keep their executive functions busy. They keep their hands occupied with something else. Audio visual information, they literally soak up into their memory to the extent where you actually think they have got a photographic memory. It's just because they surpass that executive function to retain that information and keep it somewhere in a filing section in the brain to recall at a later stage. And that is how audiobooks work. That is how we retain most of the information. Yes, we need to practice the information to apply it into our life. But when we retain that information directly into our memory, we can recall it at any other stage further down the line, whether you have your notes with you or not, whether you have those books at hand or not. You can automatically recall it because your brain is already at that stage where that information was soaked up when you were busy doing something else. So I can recall it when you are busy doing something else. Strive to be less reliant on borrowing. Now, this is an important point when it comes to financial independence and to our life as a whole. 97, well, at this stage, I believe more than 97% of South Africans live on credit. And that credit is money that you've borrowed. If you start to strive to be less reliant on that money that you've borrowed, to be less reliant on that credit card, to be less reliant on that petrol card, to be less reliant on the Eckers, the Woolworths, the Pick and Pay card, to be less reliant on somewhere something bailing you out, and start planning forward. Yes, it is going to be difficult in the beginning. I remember initially when me and my husband sat down and had this discussion about credit cards. He was absolutely livid with me when I cut all 5 of his credit cards up. Today, he lives without credit. It took a long while to get there, but we got there. And no problem now whatsoever. But let's first go to an ad break and then we'll continue the discussion.
Hey Bonang, how are you?
Hi Tuli, look so beautiful. Hey, long time no see. What happened to your skin, by the way? The last time I saw you, you had a lot of blemishes and breakouts. It was so terrible, man.
Wow, thanks for that, Bonang. Luckily, I discovered DMK. Have you heard of DMK?
DMK? Who are they?
DMK is a paramedical skincare brand that specializes in all skin conditions. Would you like their number?
Yes, please.
I know you're not good at numbers, so let me give you their website address because your skin looks terrible. It's www.dmkskincare.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
And we're back recording live here at 27 Boxes at the Brand Live studio. Before the ad break, we spoke about to strive to be less reliant on borrowing. To be less reliant on that credit that is so wildly provided to us from all the different credit facilities. And once you have decided to take that action of being less reliant, take the subsequent action and start paying off those credits as fast as possible. Where do you start? Start with the highest interest earning credit provider. The one that charges you the most interest on the outstanding debt. Now, understand me nicely. Credit can be used in a positive way. You can gear credit to your advantage. But to be reliant on that credit on a monthly basis. Example, going to do your monthly shopping on credit and then paying at the end of the month and no money for groceries, let's do it again on the credit card. Living on that credit puts you into that complete snowball effect where you keep on paying interest for what you are living now. When you stop being reliant on that credit and you start moving back to cash is king, and believe me, cash is still king, you find that you, in your personal capacity, can do so much more. When your cash flow is in a positive regard on your books, as the accountants would say, your life in general is going to be better. Not saying that you're not going to be able to get credit again. In matter of fact, your bank will be more than willing to give you credit for the bigger things when your cash flow is more positive. So you can build those bigger dreams of starting a business. Build those bigger dreams of buying a bigger house. But first get all the small little devils out the door and off your income statement. Because once those credits, and you're not reliant on those credits, are there anymore, you're going to be able to move forward faster. Take action and do things. Now. Now is the best time of your life. To wait is procrastination. To wait for a better day. To wait for the end of the month. To wait for next week. To wait for a new month. Why wait? If you're really serious about it, if your why is strong enough, you will wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and saying, let's get this done. If your why is not strong enough, you're not going to take action. You're not going to get things done. You are going to stay in that constant roll over, continue what you are currently doing and get nowhere further than what you currently are. And if you think you don't have what it takes, well, here's an interesting fact. You are the one in millions that actually made it to the egg. You are the strongest cell. You survived it through the entire incubation process. You survived the entire maternity process. You have survived up until your age where you are currently standing. You are alive. You have a heartbeat. You are strong enough. Start believing in yourself. There's nobody else out there that can be you, because there is nobody that is you. You are unique. You are the only you that's out there. And once you start realizing who your natural self is, who you are, and you start believing in that person, not even the sky is going to limit you. Take risks. And if you're not a risk taker, take calculated risks. Now, I'm not saying jump off the Van Staden's bridge without a bungee cord. Not those kind of risks. But take risks. A very famous actress whose name fails me now once said, dreams come in bigger sizes than what we are, because we have to grow to fulfill them. And the only way we can grow to fulfill those dreams is to take risk. Tony Robbins states, and has been quoted several times, of saying that your life is a direct reflection of the risks you are willing to take. Now, if you're not willing to take the risk to step out of your comfort zone, you are not going to grow. If a baby does not risk the fact of falling down, once he starts getting up, that child's never going to learn to walk. If a young child starts learning to ride a bike with the training wheels on, and he does not risk the fact of taking those training wheels off, he'll most probably drive a three-wheel truck for the rest of his life. We have to take risks to grow. I don't say gamble your money away, but take risks. Take small risks. And the more comfortable you get with taking small little steps, you can start walking faster. You can start running. You can start jumping over hurdles. But take the risk. Make the decision. Take the action. Do it now. And when you fail, don't be afraid of embarrassment of your failures. Fail forward. Learn the lesson. Because we do learn through failures. Thomas Edison was quoted on why didn't he stop after his first couple of failures before inventing the light bulb. And he stopped the person interviewing him and said it wasn't failures. I just found 10,000 different ways how it does not work. And this is the way it works most effectively. If he at any stage decided, well, now I've had enough failures, I'm going to stop, we would not be sitting under illumination. We would still be sitting most probably by candlelight, unless somebody else was willing to take the risk to fail and learn from it. It's only through taking the risk, being willing and prepared to fail and to learn from that failure, that we can move forward. Do you think any of his failures ever stopped our gentleman from Tesla with his rocket ships that he's been trying to send up, Elon Musk? If he stopped on the first failure, then, okay, back to the drawing board. But he kept on going. They kept on going back to the drawing board, learning from their failures how to move forward. If he didn't do that, do you really think they would be trying bigger, greater, newer things? Building new technology? If they failed with the first computer, which would have most probably filled 2 or 3 of the studios that I'm currently sitting in, we wouldn't be able today to walk around with our entire life on a mobile device. Just learn from your failures. And don't be embarrassed about them. They show that you've tried. If you ask me to show you the difference between a master and a beginner, my answer to you will be a master has failed more times than what a beginner have even tried to start. That's how we learn. That's how we master stuff. That's how a baby learned to walk, by falling down, getting up and trying again. Learning to keep up straight, learning to keep their balance. Learning where not to walk and what can you not walk on. It's learning from those failures. And those failures give you knowledge, experience, to the extent where you, within them, find your deeper purpose. Now, if you want to know the rest of these 20 steps to success, I invite you to visit my website, which is yevl.co.za, and go and look at my latest blogs. I will put this one up again under 2018 for you to read. In the meantime, should you want more information, you can email me at admin@yevl.co.za. But for now, this is the end of us. You've been listening to the Financial Independence Coach, brought to you by Yevl Pty Ltd, recorded live at 27 Boxes on brandlife.co.za. From me, Shalom.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.